What's one part of content creation you wished somebody would have explained clearly? What are the essentials to start creating book content? How'd you start getting connected with sponsors, publishers, etc. when you started? How do you get arcs? Hey, welcome in. Today, we're going to be talking about book talk influencing, talking about books on the internet, the behind the scenes stuff, how it works, how it's worked for me, my experience doing it. It's one of those things where I think a lot of people just don't know because people don't talk about it all the time, like some of the nuts and bolts and behind the scenes things that you just sort of learn along the way. But you want to learn these things without having to spend a year and a half learning how to do them. So we're going to talk about it. I threw up a question box on Instagram. If you don't follow me on Instagram, you should do that. I'll throw up question boxes like this, and maybe your question will get answered in a video, just like this one. So let's jump into the questions. First one, is this your regular job? If not, when do you carve out time to read? It's definitely not my regular job. I have a 9 to 5, and I just try and fit content around my regular job, my family obligations, things like that. So I tend to get up early in the morning, most mornings. It's like 4:15, 4:30 in the morning. I get up just about every weekday morning. Actually, no, just about every morning. And I try and work on content or the book proposal or whatever I need to do. Read all of that, usually funneled into that roughly hour and a half to 2 hour period that I get before the kiddo wakes up. So I try and do all that then. I try and also read at night, but that's kind of inconsistent. I try and get like 30 minutes every night. But oftentimes at the end of the day, my wife and I are like, hey, let's watch a show, let's watch a movie, let's hang out. So I don't always read every night, but I try to. I try to read pretty consistently. More often than not, if I'm doing reading, it's in the morning. Lately, I have not been reading a ton for pleasure. I've been reading more for the book proposal. So I've been reading a lot of like old primary sources and things like that. I'm trying to read a little bit more for pleasure. I think I've read like 2 or 3 books this month for pleasure, which is, it's a little bit less than I would like, but it is what it is. So, long story short, no, this is not my regular job. It'd be great if it was, but it is not. What are the essentials to start creating book content? Your phone and your phone. Your phone and an opinion. That's really all you need. If you're going to actually start out, all you really need is your phone and an opinion. The thing that people are going to follow you for is what you say, is your opinions, is your personality, the way that you describe things. I think I think that's how people get hooked on your stuff initially. So the fancy stuff doesn't matter as much. I think it does matter in the long run. Like if you do develop a following, I think there's a benefit to investing in a nice camera, lights, that kind of a thing. But starting out, you don't need any of that stuff. You just need a phone. If you were to prioritize the things that you would need, I would prioritize good audio above anything else. And thankfully, you can do audio, like good audio, pretty cheaply. You can go get a wireless microphone that plugs into your phone for like $30 and have pretty decent audio and be good for a very long time. You don't need to really do more than that until maybe you get to a point where it's like, okay, I'm getting brand deals and brands want your videos to look a certain way. And, I think it helps if you're being approached by brands or if you're approaching brands to represent them in a video. I think it helps if your stuff looks pretty professional, but that's not what you're thinking about when you start. Like when you first start, you're just thinking, I have things I want to say and I just want to get them out. So it's a phone and an opinion, and that will last you for a very long time. What's one part of content creation you wished somebody would have explained clearly? This is a really good question. I'm not even fully sure the best way to answer it. I would probably say that maybe the biggest key to the whole thing, well, there's two things. There's probably two things that I would say are like the key to the whole thing, and take this for whatever it's worth to you. Consistency, I think, is probably the most important piece of this. Show up consistently for a long period of time. And the result that you want is probably going to happen. There's a lot of creators that I think made really good content, and I was interested in it. and I followed them and I enjoyed their stuff. But they only posted for like 6 months. And then they were like, yeah, this is probably, I'm assuming they're like, this is more effort than I'm willing to put in for what I'm getting out of it. So they stop. I think part of it is you want to see some kind of an output that makes it worth it to you. But I mean, things can change really quickly. Like you can have a video go viral and everything changes. Like for example, there's one video I did that I think it was the 5 best books I'd ever read or something like that. And I think that one video got me 15,000 followers on Instagram. The one video. Now, it's not the only video I've had go viral. Like that's happened a few times, but things can change really quickly if you don't get that, that result that you're wanting, I guess, whatever that result is. And usually it's growth. The thing that you really want is you want people to follow you, right? And that can happen quickly. It can take a really long time and then spike overnight. Or it can be a steady thing. Like it's different for everybody. Everybody's experience is going to be differently. So I would say consistency is probably the one thing. And then just like being yourself. I think some people try and portray a version of themselves on social media that's not real. They try to be funnier than they actually are. They try to be snarkier. Like, just be yourself. I think people care about authenticity. And I'll even caveat that with there are times I've made videos that are a little bit intentionally antagonistic because I know that it will perform well, but it's usually like something I really think just dialed up slightly. So it's not like I'll make a video of something I don't actually think. Sometimes I'll take an opinion I have and just sort of extrapolate it a little bit. Be yourself and be consistent, and you'll probably get out of it what you want to get out of it, if that makes sense. How do you find books that aren't the general social media book recs? Some of this is just like finding things I want to read and reading them. Like if I go to the bookstore, I'm looking for stuff that I want to read, and then I tend to talk about books that I want to read. So I don't always talk about books that I know other people are talking about just because I try and make my social media presence reflect the things that I want to read or talk about. I also have friends on the internet that I trust their opinion on books, and they tend to know my taste. And so if they say, hey, you're going to like this book, I just go grab it and read it because they're probably right. I probably will like it. And I've picked up several books that have been recommendations from people that I've met online, and I've loved the books. Just existing in the real world, being a book nerd, you pick things up that aren't just the general run-of-the-mill things. Do you ever have a reading slump? Yeah, all the time. Like right now, I don't think I'm in a groove necessarily reading, but like a few months ago, I was in an absolute groove, and it just kind of ebbs and flows. And I try and make it a thing where I don't just change how I approach reading because of social media. Like social media changes it to a certain extent, but I try not to just change everything to fit the social media thing. Obviously you want to recommend some books here and there, but I try not to just be like, well, this book is going to play good on social media, therefore I'll read it. Like I try to just read what I want to read, and reading ebbs and flows. How'd you start getting connected with sponsors, publishers, etc. when you started out? So this is the kind of thing that it will happen organically as you grow. And for me, sponsored stuff didn't really start until mid to late last year. I posted for, I guess, about over a year before I had any sponsored anything. It just, as you grow, sponsors reach out, have your email in your bio. They'll email you and pitch you different things. It just happens organically. And as I've grown, I've tried to be better about actually going to potential sponsors, reaching out to them and, giving them a pitch and saying, hey, I'd love to make a video or a series of videos about this thing, or I use this product, therefore I want to talk about it, stuff like that. So it happens organically. I'm not the best at this. There's others that do this way better than me. I'm not the best at going and pursuing brand deals. I could probably get more brand deals if I was more intentional about it. But, they reach out to you as you grow. It's sort of just an offshoot of social media growth is brands will reach out to you and they'll be like, hey, we'll pay you to make a video about this thing. And you can take it or leave it. Do you get offered early releases and do you always take them? Yeah. I always say the best part of the gig is getting offered ARCs or early release versions of books. I do not always take them. I say no to quite a few. But some of the best books I've read recently have been early releases that publishers or authors have reached out to me about. Those conversations have led to a lot of really, really good things for me. I tend to say yes if it's a book that I'm interested in, but I say no a lot. So I try not to say yes to a book that I just have no interest in. And there's quite a few of those. Like there's quite a few books that I'll see an email and it's like, yeah, that's probably not for me. And I just pass on it. But yeah, the short answer is yes. And it's a byproduct again of as you grow on social media, people reach out to you. They want you to read their book. They want you to promote their book. And it's part of it. What was the hardest barrier to overcome to just saying, okay, I'm going to go for it? Essentially, like, what was the barrier for me starting on social media? I think there's like an initial embarrassment a little bit making videos on the internet. There's a little bit of like, oh, hope nobody in my real life sees this. That'd be kind of rough. I guess that initial embarrassment, but I just started making videos and I didn't tell anybody about it for a while. And it wasn't until there was some growth before people realized that I was doing it. But, at the same time, I'm not like, ooh, I'm making video. Like, I don't know. It's probably not until recently that a bunch of people in my personal life actually knew that I was doing this. It was sort of just my undercover hobby, I guess. Probably the biggest thing I had to overcome was like the initial embarrassment of like, this is kind of awkward. But at the same time, so many things in my life have changed for the better because I just hit record. I've met so many great people, like the relationships that I have built through the different avenues that social media has kind of created for me has been incredible and life-changing in many ways. And it's not just a money thing, like just I've met some really cool people. I don't know, it's been really great. If you can overcome that initial embarrassment and just stay true to yourself, I think there's probably a lot of great things that will come out of it for you. How far in the future do you plan videos, podcasts, or reads, etc.? I'm really bad about planning stuff out in advance. Videos, I'm terrible. I usually record the video the morning that it goes live or a day or two before. If I'm really good, I will batch record like 3 videos and post those. In the past, I've been better about that. Recently, I have been really terrible about it. Yeah, I'm not the best at this, frankly. Podcasts, I tend to record them and maybe like schedule them a week out in advance. I try and get podcasts out early to patrons. So I tend to record them early and then wait a week and post it. So in that sense, maybe. Reads, I don't plan what I'm going to read. I mean, I kind of have a general sense, like in my head, I know what I'm going to read, but I don't plan it. I don't have a really regimented TBR. I'm a mood reader. I'll just pick something up and read it. And also, I don't like the idea of being like, I'm going to read this, and then I'm going to read this, and then I'm going to read this. Like, that just sounds depressing, so I don't do it. It's not for me. It's for other people, but it's not for me. How do you get ARCs? It's actually really simple. And I don't know that a lot of people know that you can just go get ARCs. And there's also not like a barrier. Like at least in my experience anyway, I got ARCs when I had no followers. I've gotten ARCs with I don't think that having an audience is part of the contingency for getting an early copy of a book. You can go create an account on NetGalley and you can request ARCs for books. I've gotten a few where I had no followers. Like I maybe had 10 or 15,000 followers on TikTok or something. And I do think they make you check a box that says if you have a certain amount of followers, and I could be wrong on that. It's been a while since I've requested an ARC on NetGalley, but I think for the most part, it doesn't matter. Like you can just go request a copy, and so long as you leave a review somewhere, I think that's really the only contingency for getting an ARC. And you'll get an EPUB version, you'll get a Kindle version of the book, and then you can read it. So NetGalley is really, really easy. You just create an account, you request books, and you can see what's on there, and you just sort of request what you want. You can also reach out to publishers, and I don't know if there's a hard and fast rule about getting ARCs for books, but generally speaking, if you reach out to a publisher and you say, hey, I'd love to get a copy of this book, they'll send them to you. And again, it's hard to know exactly what the barrier for entry is on some of that, because like I don't know exactly if a publisher's like, yeah, he's got 500 followers, I'm not going to send it to him. In my experience, that hasn't been the case, but it's not prescriptive. I can't say that's exactly how it's going to be for you. But NetGalley's pretty easy. As far as I know, there's not a huge barrier on how to get an ARC. And then as your following grows, you just get sent early reviews of books. You'll get publishers that'll reach out to you and say, hey, we've got this book coming out. Do you want to read it? Do you want to post a video about it? And it's up to you to say yes or no. Short answer, NetGalley, reach out to publishers, and also publishers or authors will reach out to you, and you can decide whether or not you want the book. Last one here. Do publishers ever ask you to post a positive review of a book that you hated? Generally speaking, if a publisher is going to reach out to you and say, hey, we want you to read this book, we want you to promote this book, like they will want a positive review of the book. But at the same time, if they send you a book, like I get sent books from publishers, a lot of history books specifically. And oftentimes it's sort of the point now where they don't tell you what they're going to send you. Like they'll just sort of send a batch of books that they're publishing in the next quarter or something like that. And they don't really tell you. They're not like, hey, I'm going to send you this book. Sometimes they do, but sometimes they don't. And they obviously want you to post a review of the books, but it's not like a hard and fast thing where they say, yeah, you got to post a positive review about this book. Otherwise, we're not going to send you any more books. If you get sent a book, it doesn't necessarily mean it's got to be a positive review. But at the same time, if you get sent a book for an ad, let's say you partner up with a publisher and you say, hey, I'm going to, read this book and then post a review of it. If you hate the book, like the publisher's not going to want you to post a negative review of the book. They're not going to want you to post like, hey, this book sucks. So it's sort of just on you to be like, hey, I read the book. I didn't love it. If I were to post a review of this book, it would not be a glowing review. Please advise, what do we do next? And then the publisher will probably say something like, okay, great. Appreciate you letting me know. The great publishers will be like, we have these other books that you might enjoy more. And then probably there will be some books that you will enjoy that the publisher has that will be better. But they're not going to be like, yeah, no, post a positive review anyway. Like that's probably not going to happen. So you just say no. You're just like, I'm not going to post a fake review, and nobody wants a fake review anyway. Okay, I've been recording for like 25 minutes now, so I think that's a good place to stop. Let me know if you like this, if this is the sort of thing you enjoy, and I can post another question box on Instagram, and we can do this again. We can do a part 2 if this was something you enjoyed. I think it's really important to talk about some of this stuff, just because, there's a lot of unknown. How do the whole relationship with like publishers and sponsored stuff, like that's really important. I still don't feel like I'm the best at this, but as you get more experience, you kind of get a feel for it. It's just kind of a trial and error sort of a thing. And, what's good content, what's bad content. Let me know if you want to talk more about that in the future, and we will. And again, it's all subjective because it's just all my experience. But yeah, I feel like this stuff is really important, and hopefully it helps you a little bit as you're going about making book content on the internet. So enjoy. That's all I've got. See you in the next video.